There are over 3,000 named cultivars or varieties of the European wine grape, Vitis vinifera. We know typically 10 or 20 of them. I always tried to help people keep an open mind. I'm Alan Busacca. I am a viticulturist, a geologist, a soil scientist, and an agronomist. Steve and Nikki Brewer and I co-own Capital Call Vintners. I was a university professor teaching and doing research in soil science, agriculture, and geology in the Pacific Northwest and around the world for many years. That drew me about 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago, into the wine industry in the Northwest. The vineyards that are contributing the fruit to the wines that we have with Capital Call Vintners are Windhorse Vineyard, which I founded with a partner before Steve Brewer. Then Steve and Nikki have Wheatfield Vines Vineyard. Steve and one of his management companies manage the Carbondale Vineyard. And all three are spectacular vineyards in terms of the quality of grapes they produce. Wheatfield Vines Vineyard was planted in 2010, I believe. Red wine grapes dominantly, what we call the big reds, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Syrah. It's in a superior location here in the Walla Walla Valley. It's a warm site, produces gorgeous fruit. Windhorse Vineyard is my baby, and with my background in academic research with the concept of vineyard terroir, it's everything that has to do with the character and quality of the vineyard site itself and the potential to produce superior fruit. The Ice Age events that have occurred in the Pacific Northwest have shaped all of our agriculture all the way through the Canadian provinces, the northern tier of the United States, where continental glaciers dominated the Midwest. For example, where Hudson Bay is today was under 8,000 feet of ice, and the lobes of ice came down to form the gouges in the earth that create the Great Lakes today. In the Northwest, big glaciers came down the valleys in the Rocky Mountains at the end of the last full glacial about 20,000 years ago. One of the ice lobes near today's Pend Oreille Lake in North Idaho blocked a river called the Clark Fork River, which no one has really heard about, really knows the name of unless you're a fly fisherman. But that Clark Fork River drains all of Montana west of the Continental Divide. Huge area. And because the glacier blocked the mouth of the valley, a succession of lakes built up with water about 2,000 feet deep, starting around 20,000 years ago. Eventually, when the lake filled up to about 2,000 feet deep, about the height of the ice dam, the ice began to float from the base of the rock, and the lake burst out. The floods that were created are the largest flows of water ever documented in the history of the Earth, and then drained out to the Pacific Ocean. Rampaged the landscape over thousands of square miles, and it left behind gravel, sand, and particularly silt, dumped them into the lake. Then when the lake burst, it all was carried down here. That then has led to the wind redistributing those materials in the post-glacial time from about 12,000 years ago to the present, and the mineral fertility of those soils is perfect for grapes under a semi-desert climate. They provide a good rooting medium, good water holding capacity, and yet they don't have so much fertility. They don't have huge stores of humified organic matter, which would make the vines too vigorous. So it turns out that the semi-desert climate, the loess soils, create just otherworldly great growing conditions for wine grapes. Oftentimes, people, as they begin to learn to enjoy wine, they will develop a favorite wine, whether it's Cabernet Sauvignon or Chardonnay or Riesling or something like that. And then their thinking may close down a little bit, and they think, I don't really want to try that wine because I only drink Chardonnay. And to me, the wonder of wine is how beautifully diverse the flavor profiles of different wines are, and how you can pair different kinds of wines in unusual ways with different foods. And to be sure, always want to remember that wine is a beverage to enjoy with food, principally. I've had a succession of tasting rooms for other wine projects before Capital Call Vintners. I always tried to help people keep an open mind. And when they say, oh no, I don't really want to try that, and I'd say, well, see what you think, and keep an open mind. And I've always myself tried to do that, because there are over 3,000 named cultivars or varieties of the European wine grape, Vitis vinifera. We know typically 10 or 20 of them. Riesling, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, but there are 3,000 going all the way over into the mountains in Iran, high altitude areas of Turkey, for example, all the way from Spain and Portugal, along the northern tier of North Africa, along the Mediterranean basin, and all the way over to the Black Sea. There's thousands of varieties, and each one has something to offer. So I would hope that people would keep an open mind and be surprised once in a while by a new wine that they've never had before and go, oh my God, I really like that.